So again, we're writing the driver, and we first came in and we wrote it just the default hourly, and it came up just fine. There it was. Everything printed the way it should. And then we also did it just to show that we could do it with a J option pane. Okay, I commented that one out. Then we're doing the full arc. Now, we would have to come in here. I just want you to see this. Don't type in this, all right, because the program's going to stop in just a second, so don't do this. But I just want to show you something, and that is I'm going to come in here. I'm going to get an error because it's already, so I'm going to call this full arc 2. I'm going to remove it right away, so don't worry about it. But I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to put an hour out of range hours worked. With me? So I'm going to put 500 in here, which should be wrong, just to see if that worked. And this will have to be a 2. So, oh, not a 21. Jeez Louise. That will have to be a 2. All right. So let's see. Try to run it. Well, what did it do? It's not throwing an exception. We never told it to throw those exceptions. Remember that? So we'd have to go back in and change that, but it changed it to the default. See that? At least I know that's working. And in fact, I forgot all about that. What I did was I had this written as 2 programs, one with exception handling and one without. And I thought, you know, this is just going to be too boring for you. So I just combined them. But we would have to have thrown exceptions there. Does that make sense? All right. So I'm going to just remove that guy, and I'm going to put in all the rest. So the next one was salaried. No, next one was commission. So commission, and I'm going to call it com no arg equals new commission with nothing in it. And then system.out.println of com no arg. I don't know why I've got an E in there, but then I'm going to do a com full arg. I mean, you see where this is going. And what was that? Commission needed a, I'm just trying to remember the right order for this. And that was, it needed sales and a rate. Okay. So let's say that sales, let's say she did really well. I'm going to give her $100,000. And her rate, I'm going to say is 0.3. I just made that up. Doesn't mean anything. And so this is going to be com full arg. And I want to print out com full arg here. Save. And I'm going to run it again. I already know at least the two versions I've checked for these. I'm not going to check anymore. See these right here? I'm not going to check those. I don't care. But what do we have here? Well, $10,000, 25%. Those were the defaults, right? $2,500. $100,000, 30%, $30,000. That all worked. All right, so we're 2 for 2 so far. That's good. Oops. Back up here. Knock that down. And now I'm going to do salaried and then piece worker. So salaried, call it sal no arg equals new salaried. And again, system.out.println sal no arg. Salaried sal full arg equals new salaried. And her salary, let's just give her a salary of $4,500. Is that valid? I don't remember what salaried was. So that actually would be an I employee. And salaried goes up to 10 grand. So that should be okay. Because I made it 4,500. So that should be all right. So system.out.println sal full arg, and I'm going to print out that one. Let's run it again. All right, FNU, SNU, that was the default salary, 4,500. So that looks like it worked. So the only one left is piece worker. And again, I know I keep saying this, but I want you to hear it. You would be making tons more objects than this because you would have to check. We would go back and we would throw our exceptions, all right, and we would make sure that everything that's out of range is being handled correctly. All right, so notice now, because I showed you this before, but I'm purposely going to make a mistake in the second one that I put in, okay? I'm going to do a piece worker first. I'll call it PW no arg equals new piece worker. Oops, don't need that. All right. Now, I said this before, and I know, Angie, maybe I was looking at you then because I remember you kind of shook your head like you get it. And I think you do, but I'm going to put this in here. Now, if I come in here and I say new piece worker, and I put in here 27, see how I get an error right away? Because I'm trying to put a numeric field in where it's expecting a string. Does that make sense? All right, in the same way, so I'll come back here and I'll put in, oops, don't know what I did, but try it again. EW full arg equal new piece worker. All right, so what do I have left? I've got number of pieces and price per piece. If you look up on the screen here, I'm purposely going to put an error in here. So for number of pieces, I'm going to put in 12.4. See how I get an error? It's expecting an int. That makes sense? So let's put in something. I think 50 we can put in. And price per piece, let's just say you get a quarter. So 0.25. All right. And then I'm going to do one more, my system.out.println for that one. All right. And I wanted to do the other one too. So this will be PW no arg. Try that again. And this will be PW full arg. Try this. Come on. Copy. Paste. Semicolon. There we go. That should be everything. Now I'm asking the question, do you understand everything we just did? We are trying to go through and at a minimum do one of each object that's going to, this will call, by putting in these 8, we have called 8 different constructors. That should make sense to you. All right. So again, I'm going to do a file, save all, and I'm going to run this again. Bring this up. There's my stuff. 100 was the default pieces, 25 bucks. Here we did 50 at 25, 12.50. All right. All that makes sense? Anybody get any errors when they ran theirs? Good. Like I said, normally we'd be probably taking it a little bit slower. All right. Okay. Now, we're only 10 minutes in because I forgot to tape it first. But what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to give you both a copy of the test right now. And it is a take home, so you know what you got to do, etc. So let me find it. Well, I can always grab it that way. I just got to look for it. I've got hard copies, but I want to put it up on the screen here. So. Crud. So it must be on this machine here. There it is. Yep. So let me save it onto here. So I'm going to put it on here. Before I give you the hard copies, I'm going to put it on the screen here, just so you can see it. All right. So let's see. Boom. Close a bunch of this stuff. And it's called Hot 00. All right. So with what we've got here, okay, make it bigger, and we'll put it on 2 pages. There. So the first one, believe it or not, I believe you did this one in the C# class. If you didn't, I mean, is this going to be hard? Write a program that asks the user for a distance in inches, converts it to centimeters, and prints the converted value. I don't think that's going to be hard. Maybe I'm wrong, but considering what we just did, I don't think that's going to be hard. Okay? All right. Then write a program that computes the sum of the first 100 perfect squares. So 1 squared, 2 squared, 3 squared. So you're going to put that into a loop. Make sense? There is a math.pow function that you might want to use. Okay? The third one is the harder one. And I added a little bit to it. I added this. I took the stuff out of there that Mr. Smith put in. But believe it or not, there are places that when you go in there to interview, this is the test they give you to see if you get the language. And part of it is everybody can do it, but you're timed. So you might have to do this, and you may or may not get to use the internet, etc. But you might have an hour, and or you might have a half an hour, or whatever they decide. So I want you to print out the numbers from 1 to 100, but I don't want you to print those numbers. 1, 2, and 3 are prime, so you will write prime, prime, prime. 3 does not go into 4, 5 does not go into 4, but 4 is an even number, right? So you write prime, 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 4, then any number that's divisible by 3, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, you get the idea. You will write the word fizz. Any number that's divisible by 5, 5, 10, 15, 20, etc., you will write buzz. Since 5 is divisible by 5 and not 3, it's prime, 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 4, buzz. Now, I actually have it on here, and if you want it, see, I ripped it, but I can make a copy. This is what your output is supposed to look like, literally. Prime, 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 4, buzz, fizz, prime, 8, fizz, buzz, prime, fizz, prime, 14, fizz, buzz, etc. If you want that, I'll be happy to print that out, or you can figure it out yourself. All right? And then finally, you've got a couple more here. Write a recursive function What is a recursive function? It's a function that calls itself. All right? And if you don't know what Fibonacci numbers are, he actually left one out of here technically. All right? They're not 1 and 1. They're 0 and 1, but it just depends on the book you read. 0 plus 1 equals 1. 1 plus 1 equals 2. 1 plus 2 equals 3. 2 plus 3 equals 5. Get it? Supposedly, from what I heard, this has something to do with putting a bunch of rabbits and how fast they'll multiply. All right, I don't know exactly what it is, but it's used a lot. The thing that's different in here, this is the Fibonacci sequence, so he gives you that, but the function is going to have to call itself. That's the key thing. That's what a recursive function is. It's a function that calls itself. You can even look online if you need help. All right, try doing it yourself, though. Then finally, write a simple program to compute the cost of a customer's purchase. Ask the user for a bunch of prices until they enter a negative price. Once they enter a negative price, you should be totaling up all the prices they put in, multiplying that total by 8%, or so by 0.08 to get the tax, and then adding the subtotal to the tax to get a final total. Does all that make sense? All right. Now, I don't really like these names. You know, you can call them if you want hot 00-1, hot 00-2. That might be easier. Okay. This is the way they're being graded. All right. So you've got 5 programs. Is each program well written? Does each program work? Is it complete and does it work? Was it committed to Git? So again, it might be easiest, like I said, to get all done. Just throw it all up there. Put or put each one up there and just, I don't even know what is the best way of doing it. All right. You might even want to go and look online. You can just do that right now quickly. I don't want to waste your time. Watch you have me do internet searches. IntelliJ, IDEA, and Git. Well, maybe GitHub. So notice adding a project. They've got a bunch of stuff, sharing a project. Probably just adding a project to Git and GitHub. It's 4 minutes and 50 seconds. Take a look at that, okay? So all this stuff will be looked at. There's what? Well written, completed, function as intended, committed to Git, push to GitHub. That's 5 things, correct? And that's 3 points for each one of those. In other words, does that make sense? Descriptive camel case variable names, uppercase for constants, that's what we've been doing. Descriptive method names, camel case, that's what we've been doing. All right. Appropriate inline comments. Again, my litmus test, you've heard this before. You know, did you put some comments in there? Is there something that would make sense to have a comment there? And that's where you put it. You know, handle all cases, including edge cases. What the heck does an edge case mean? All right. That means, for example, on this one right here, it's supposed to stop when you put in a negative number, correct? So it should handle 0. It's got nothing to add, but it should handle 0. Does that make sense? All right. In here, it should handle everything correctly, but it should start at 1 and it should go to 100. Does that make sense? All right. And as I put, it's due at the end of class a week from today. So I'm going to give you the rest of the period today to work on it. I'm going to give you tomorrow all period to work on it. No lecture, no nothing. All right. And if at the end of the period tomorrow you all say, I've got it done, or I got it done except for 1, all right, and I'll say, do you need another period? I don't really think you need 8 hours to do this. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but I don't think you do. To me, this stuff, combined, you're going to have to think on a couple of them, all right? But that said, it's much easier than what we've been doing the last 3 days. I don't know if you agree with that or not, but at least in my humble opinion, it is. All right. So questions? So I got a hard copy for each one of you. When you get it done on Tuesday, turn in the hard copy. I didn't put your names on, so put your names on. Turn them in when you got it done. If you have questions as you start running through it, just ask. So you've got about an hour and 20 minutes to work on it today. And again, I know especially for, are you taking any online classes?
Yes.
Okay, if you want to work on those, you're not hurting my feelings any to do that. I know that sometimes I don't know what, I can't speak for Mr. Smith or Mr. Gudmisted, but I know there are instructors here. They're like, no, you work on my homework. You don't, I don't care. I don't expect you to, pull out a game right now. And any of you ever play the game? This is, like 10, 20 years ago, Galaga. You know what game that is? Well, I used to like that. I did. I admit it. I used to go to, play at arcades and stuff like that. I was never that good at it, but I played it. So my kids heard that. And they bought me a handheld one for Christmas. Well, that's nice of them. Except it's so small, I can't read it. These eyes are going. So my wife, who doesn't play any games, she started playing it and she loves it. So now my Christmas gift from them, I wanted it returned to get something else. She's like, you're not returning that. So she's got two gifts. She got one from them and she got my gift from them.